Hello and welcome to another maths video. Today we are looking at the difference of two squares. And this is an identity. So this applies to both expanding and to factorizing. So I'm going to start today by looking at an expansion. And I'm going to say let's expand. And let's expand a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Okay, so expand, take the brackets out. The process for expand, of course, take the first term here, multiply it by that, and multiply it by this. So in doing that, that's going to get us a squared minus ab. And then do the same with the second term. So my second term here, I've got b, so b times a, and then b times minus b. So b times a is ab. And then b times minus b is minus b squared. What you should notice here is that in the middle, this minus ab, this plus ab, they cancel. So this is equal to a squared minus b squared. And this right here is known as the difference of two squares. You've got a squared here minus a squared here. Difference is another name for minus. So two squares take away from each other the difference of two squares. A squared minus b squared. And you need to note that this factorizes every single time to a plus b, a minus b. Or the other way around, a minus b, a plus b, doesn't make a difference. Okay, so let's have a look at some questions to factorize. So in terms of factorizing, we do have our other methods. We've got the grouping in pairs, common factor, etc., etc. We also need to be on the lookout for a difference of two squares. So let's start off nice and simple. Let's try and factorize something like x squared minus 16. So x squared minus 16, this is a squared minus, so difference is in there, difference is the minus, and I can actually express that as 4 squared. So I can say this is x squared minus 4 squared. Now it's something squared minus something squared, so my factorization of that is going to be x minus 4, x plus 4. Okay, and that goes back to the identity we just expanded. If you want to go back, have a look at that. Also, I would recommend expanding this. You should note a 4x and a minus 4x will appear and they will cancel. Okay. So we've got two things the same here, x and 4, one's positive, one's negative, and that's just the identity. Okay. We took an example B, let's say we had a squared minus 9. So I want to get to the stage where I can factorize that straight away. My squared roots, or square root of a squared is a, so a goes there by itself, and square root of 9 is 3. One's plus, one's minus, doesn't matter which one's which. Okay, if you want to write a plus 3, a minus 3, you're more than welcome to. Getting a little bit more complicated. So at this point, if that's kind of blowing your mind, go and do some examples. Pause the video, do some examples, look over the video again, and the more expanding and factorizing you do on your own will kind of really add understanding. But just for the sake of not spending forever on it, I will get some harder examples in here as well. If we have x squared, well, let's go 4x squared minus 9. So what I can say this is, I can say this is equal to 2x squared minus 3 squared. Okay, so this is going to be 4x squared, this is going to be 9. So in terms of putting this in brackets, in terms of factorizing this, I've got 2x and a 3, and 2x and a 3 again. Okay, like the previous ones, I would encourage you guys to expand that out. When you expand it out, it should simplify down to what we started with. Okay. Moving on. Take an example D here. So example D, we'll do x plus 3 squared minus, let's say, 36. I can say this is equal to x plus 3 squared minus 6 squared. I could, if I want to expand it all out, could then go and get like terms and factorize again, but because there's a difference here and it's 2 squares, I can use the difference of 2 squares identity. So this then is equal to x plus 3 minus 6 and x plus 3 plus 6. Okay. Now the little brackets in here, there's nothing I'm doing to them. I'm not multiplying them, I'm not squaring them. I'm just minusing 6 and plusing 6, so I can expand those out. This is going to be equal to x plus 3 minus 6, x plus 3 plus 6. So this is equal to x minus 3, x plus 9. And like I said, if you wanted to, you could expand that all out, factorize it down. You should get that factorizing in there. What really gets people here is the x plus 3 here. It's like what I did here. It's something squared. So it's x plus 3 squared. Up here I had 2x squared. In my examples up here I had, say, a squared, and I had x squared. It doesn't matter that it's an expression here, as long as it appears in the first part of my brackets here. Also important to note, if you don't get the minus part correct, you're not going to have a real good time either. So the minus part applies to the plus and the minus. You'll note in my identity, if I go back up to the top, this A is always positive. The B gets positive and negative, so make sure the negative goes with the B over there. It's probably not the nicest way of explaining it, but we'll do some more examples, see how we go. Taking on an example E, if I have x squared minus 7, for example, I can say this is equal to x squared minus root 7 squared. Okay, so that's something squared minus something squared again, because root 7 times root 7 is 7. Okay, guys, take your time, do some examples. It will help you out here quite significantly. X minus root 7, x plus root 7. Okay. Example F, if I have x minus 1 squared minus, let's say, 4, that's going to be equal to x minus 1 squared minus 2 squared. So in terms of my brackets, the first one, second one, so x minus 1, the second one is 2, and the first one again, the second one is 2, one of them's positive, and one of them is negative. Okay, doesn't matter having brackets inside brackets, it's just this one here plus 2, and then that one there minus 2 as well. Clean it up a little bit, this is equal to x minus 1 plus 2, then x minus 1 minus 2. So this is equal to x plus 1 and x minus 3. Okay, I'll do my best to get a good worksheet up for you guys. Practice on this is going to be essential. Okay. Luckily, most of the examples you get are going to be something like A, B, or C, and A, B, and C you need to be able to recognize straight away and factorize straight away. D, E, well, E is not too bad, but D and F certainly on the more difficult end of the spectrum. Get practice, guys. Enjoy. Thank you.